I think that's a big focus that everybody should have. Let's just take care of our own buildings. We have great locations, the best real estate in most places already taken. So let's make sure that those buildings work great. And then we start thinking about expansion and growing opportunities. But I think first and foremost, it's just about service and the customer.
This is the Box Office Podcast in the CinemaCon 2024 edition, brought to you by Tapos by Jacro. And in today's episode, we're going to be previewing what we are expecting and most excited about seeing at the event in Las Vegas from the studio presentations. My colleagues Rebecca Pauley, Deputy Editor at Box Office Pro, and Chad Kenrick, Analyst at Box Office Pro, will be joining me to discuss everything that we are looking forward to from the most exciting and biggest convention on the theatrical exhibition calendar in 2024. We're going to be talking about studios, previewing the event, and on Monday, in the first of our daily edition of episodes, where we are all in Las Vegas with daily updates on everything that is going on at the event. We have a great week of executive guests. You can check out our schedule over at podcast.boxofficepro.com to check out the entire slate of events we've got and download our latest episode. The best way to listen to all our episodes is going to be by subscribing. And a big part of why we're able to do this is thanks to the support of our sponsor, Tapos by Jacro. We've got a quick message from them, and then we'll kick off this episode.
As a cinema, it's frustrating when your success is decided by things you can't control. Hollywood hits come and go. What stays the same are the amazing experiences you offer your customers, whether it's an engaging and successful membership program, seamless seat upgrades, next-level food and drink, or extras like arcade games and bowling. But to do this well, you need a POS system that can keep up. Tapos has been developing cinema software for over 25 years. They know what it takes to run a successful movie theater, and they've created a solution that can match your boldest ambitions. Learn more at taposapp.com.
Thank you for that advertising message, Chad. And yeah, guys, let's get started. So not only do I feel unprepared for the CinemaCon, quite frankly, I've also seen maybe like 3 theatrical releases. Again, I'm going to blame the kid for it coming into this year. So I feel a little disconnected coming back from paternity leave, not having onto the movies that much, barely getting that CinemaCon issue across the line. How are you guys coming into this event? How many movies have you seen? Do you have a clear visibility on the rest of the year moving forward?
I'm excited for this one. I'm excited to. I think we need to start a betting pool amongst either us or the box office company as a whole as to how many times the word Barbie is going to be mentioned in various presentations. Definitely double digits, probably triple. But no, it'll be really. I mean, if the Warner Brothers presentation last year was fun with that big Barbie rollout, I imagine this year they're gonna really play up the success of Barbenheimer. Ditto Universal. So I'm excited. This feels kind of, I mean, I don't know. I only went to one CinemaCon pre-COVID, so I don't have a very strong base in what a CinemaCon looks like where people aren't, pandemic, recovery. But it feels like this might be more.
No, the sky is always falling. The sky is always falling, no matter what. Because the press contingency that attends always comes in with a doom narrative. And then until finally, we actually had an actual extinction event happen with a pandemic where the entire future of theatrical was at stake. And guess what? We survived, came out through it. We're at the other side. And a big part of this year's focus, I hope, will be less pandemic oriented, Rebecca, and a lot more forward looking. But in order to be forward looking, we need movies. That continues to be the big part of the equation that this industry needs in order to get back to those heights. Guys, we can't sell tickets to empty screens here. We got to figure out what to put on them. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode. We're going to go studio by studio, what we expect to see, what we're excited to see, everything that we've got ahead of us. And of course, on the feature interview segment on this week, we've got Eduardo Acuña, the new Chief Executive Officer of Cineworld, the parent company of Regal and many other cinemas around the world. That is the number 2 cinema chain globally. And we also have joining us as well is Don Savant, the CEO of CJ4Dplex Americas, the company that is in charge of the 4DX and ScreenX premiums that Cineworld is a big, big client of. I've got both of them here on the podcast to discuss everything that they see moving forward with the event. That's coming up on the second half of the episode. And as I previewed, first half packed here with what we've got coming out from studios. Let's start with the schedule the way we have it. The first presentation isn't by a studio, guys. This is interesting because if you were to tell me that following the State of the Industry address on Tuesday morning at CinemaCon, the studio presentation would be given by a streaming platform, one, I would be shocked. And 2, I would guess many, many, many streaming platforms before you told me the right answer was Crunchyroll. Now, for those of you who are not aware what Crunchyroll is outside of a menu, it is Sony's affiliate division in charge of anime that also releases films theatrically, but is primarily known, I think, to consumers at large as a streaming platform. There's a streaming platform component to their anime releases, and they also bring films theatrically. Now, anime has been growing in prominence in the industry. It's just a little bit of a, I think, out of left field proposition that CinemaCon 2024, Rebecca, would open from an affiliate niche division that is better known as a streamer. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What's your take? How do you think this is coming about here?
I mean, I'm definitely curious. I'm unsure as to how that Prime placement came about. But I think, I mean, if you just look at things from a macro perspective, a lot of the issues that we've talked about on this podcast since the beginning of this podcast, which coincides roughly with the beginning of the pandemic, are issues that can apply to Crunchyroll. I mean, we talk a lot about how, streaming and theatrical are not necessarily a one versus the other, mutually exclusive concept. Crunchyroll, I think, is the example of that. As you mentioned, they're an anime streamer, the anime streamer, basically, at least here in North America. And they really are able to use streaming to augment theatrical and vice versa, use theatrical success to drive audiences back to their streaming platform. This is, I think, most seen with, oh my gosh, I'm gonna try the titles here, but the 2 Demon Slayer films.
We're not going to embarrass you, Rebecca, for being brave and trying the
I'm going to say
Demon Slayer subtitles, but you say Demon Slayer films. We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there you go.
No one needs to embarrass themselves.
Okay. Yeah. So Demon Slayers, the films. One of them came out this past February, earning $17.6 million. Their highest grosser up at this point has still been Dragon Ball Superhero. These are movies that did not have a 3,500 screen count when they came to theaters. They're movies that if you were not into anime or if you were not particularly plugged in to the cinema calendar, you might not have had any clue what these movies were, but their fans do, and there are a lot of them.
It really caught me by surprise. I think it's the biggest surprise I've seen in terms of studio presentations. It's also a year where Sony is sitting out. It's a year where Amazon, MGM, despite their promises of, hey, we're going to invest all these billions of dollars into theatrical, sitting out.
None of that to CinemaCon, apparently.
Not only sitting out, but sitting out on the heels of releasing Roadhouse to Amazon Prime. So in terms of like, hey, Amazon's your new best friend, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to see what happens. Apple, even though they had a big investment in 2 theatrical releases last year, one this year with Argyle. So last year was Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon. Both those films released in partnership with major distributors. Both those films featured heavily in the respective presentations. They had another movie come out theatrically this year through Universal with Argyle. Apple's not coming. Apple's not showing anything. So in terms of the streaming platform, I'm not even going to mention Netflix because there's just I don't think we'll be seeing those folks present anything near an exhibition convention anytime soon. So it is a big surprise for me that Crunchyroll would come out with this. I applaud it. I think it's great. It's a good way to keep things innovative, to keep things fun. My big question mark is, what are they going to show? Because I'm looking at the release calendar here. Unless I'm missing something, guys, there is a total of one film in the release schedule from Crunchyroll in 2024, and it's coming out on April 19th. It is called Spy X Family Code. That's all in caps. So maybe I have to shout it. Spy X Family Code, and then white. I don't know what that means, but that's a movie that's coming out.
I'm going to guess it's a movie version of a manga series, or a manga series, couple episodes edited down into one. I feel like that feels like a safe guess.
So we'll find out a lot more about the Crunchyroll slate because there is a lot of potential on what anime can bring to theaters, on what that audience segment can bring to theaters. I know there is a mainstream generational shift when it comes to anime's role in the culture that is probably above our heads. I think Chad, Rebecca, and myself are of a certain age, above 35.
Depends entirely on the accessibility of anime in the English language, and that in large part just wasn't possible pre-internet. You had people like exchanging pirated VHSs in parking lots.
Yeah, it's evolved so much. To the point right now that I think McDonald's has like an anime Happy Meal or an anime combo menu. I think there's like an anime secret sauce. Something with anime is happening at McDonald's. Don't ask me to describe it, to explain it. I know it's there. I know kids like it. If major companies are doing something with it, there's something there, right? We might just not see it.
Not just kids. I mean, I don't know if you use kids in the colloquial term, but adults as well. I mean, I think there's a perception maybe that you see animated and it's a kids thing. Demon Slayer's R-rated. I mean, it's a cross demographic.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, it isn't a family genre, right? It isn't.
It can be just like any other.
It can be, but it is a very diverse, wide encompassing niche, if we can even call it that. I'm not sure we can call it a genre. It's probably an animation style. It's just something that is getting a lot bigger than it used to be. And clearly we are on the wrong side of being in on this conversation. I think a lot of folks at CinemaCon are going to be closer to where we are in this conversation, a little bit behind, not knowing enough, not being able to market anime successfully. But we know that the potential's there. We've seen the box office numbers. You just cited them, Rebecca. So it's important to have them there. And I think it's going to be revelatory for a lot of us to see how we incorporate that into our theatrical strategy moving forward. But that is basically on Tuesday. On Monday, there's a screening from Universal. We'll go into that in the Universal side of the conversation. The first studio presentation of the week is coming along later on Tuesday. That's from Warner Brothers. So let's talk Warner Brothers titles. Last year, Warner Brothers came out and stole the show with Barbie. This year, I'm going to set it up real easy for you guys. First question. What is the Warner Brothers title coming into CinemaCon 2024 that has the most buzz riding on it? And which Warner Brothers title needs the most work at CinemaCon for people to get more excited about it? Chad, let's start with you.
Beetlejuice. I think
only twice. I'll say it again.
Has gotten so much buzz.
So much. Yeah, that's a great shout out. That trailer came out, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago? Man, a lot of people talking about this so far.
In terms of the one that I think has the potential to make the biggest splash, I mean, it's actually not one that's on the schedule. It's not one that has a name. I want to know what Dune 3 is going to look like. I want to know what their plans are for a third Dune. The second one ended on a cliffhanger. They clearly intend to continue it. So, I mean, I think part of the presentation is going to be a victory lap for their 2023 successes. And I would hope we find out something on future Dunes. Though me personally,
I'm not sure we will.
Furiosa.
I'm not sure we will. I agree. The Furiosa conversation is the one that I'm most personally looking forward to seeing. I would agree with Chad that the title coming in with the most buzz from Warner Brothers at this CinemaCon is going to be Beetlejuice. I would be very surprised if they don't do a big push on that title. I think the trailer being out there already, the star component being so well received with the cast that you have for that title, I do expect that to be a major part of the presentation. I'm not sure we'll hear anything about any continuation on Dune. I think it's too early. We need to see how those worldwide grosses come in. But I don't think any of us expected there to be a third part. And if there is a third part, do you split up Dune Messiah into one film, two films? You make it a trilogy? I'm not sure. This is the studio that took a 100-page book in The Hobbit and turned it into a 9-hour plus 3-part
so
epic
they learned
saga
not
that no
to
one
do that.
Did they?
I hope so. Though I guess, okay, looking earlier than Dune into things that we're actually going to have more information on, this is the studio that is releasing Kevin Costner's 2 movies. This is a duo, right? The Horizon series. I mean, Daniel, what are your thoughts on this? Because I know you're skeptical of the theatrical money-making potential of something like this. I mean,
I think it's irrelevant to speak on the 2-part Horizon saga, the 2-part plus Horizon saga, as a box office, in terms of box office, in terms of earnings. It shouldn't be. It will be. We will have to talk about it in that way. So it's not that I'm skeptical on the Horizon movies. It's that I don't think that we should look at something with that much ambition and say that the entire fate of it rests on its financial results. This guy is betting the ranch on this. It's a unusually risky move that he's doing. I hope it works out, but it doesn't have to. I don't think. I think in terms of wild ambition alone, I applaud that. What I do think is that those 2 Horizon movies, Rebecca, these are the 2 movies in that sector of the conversation that we were saying, what needs the biggest marketing push at the CinemaCon? This needs the biggest marketing push. We need to see more of these movies. We need to hear what the plans are. We need to see a little bit more on what exhibitors can market on Horizon Part 1 and Horizon Part 2 coming out, bookending the summer, really. Exhibitors need a little bit of an instruction manual on how to market this beyond, you liked Kevin Costner on a streaming show last year. Come watch a movie with him twice this summer.
I feel like the main selling point or the main log line for this movie, it seems like, Yellowstone, but theatrical, it is kind of the pitch here, which is not a bad pitch considering the popularity of Yellowstone. It's one of those shows, I think I agree with you 100%.
I don't know. I mean, Chad, how do you feel? I think it's not a bad pitch, but you need a little bit more, and you definitely need a lot more if you're asking people to buy 2 tickets 3 months apart. Where do you stand on what Horizon could do in theaters? Again, knowing that that's not how we're going to frame success for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is, with the Yellowstone conversation, a built-in audience, right? They screened, was it a season finale or something that went theatrical? I think that did pretty well, if I remember right. But I guess the side of it for me is just watching the trailer. I'm a little concerned. It seems a little bit like a white savior kind of story. Just that was the vibe
from the Dances with Wolves director. What?
No, you don't say.
I just hope that there's maybe an evolution there from Dances with Wolves.
Yeah. I mean, also definitely, I think the second Joker movie, Folie à Deux, to try to butcher French pronunciation.
We let you off the hook with a Demon Slayer subtitle. You walked into this bear trap all on your own. You jumped in there. You dove in there.
And we're owned by a French company.
That's even worse. You could have massacred the Japanese subtitles and nobody would have guessed. And the one thing we can call you, that's fine. I'm not going to help you anymore, Rebecca. You're on your own.
Apparently now it's a jukebox. It's a jukebox musical. I don't know, but I think definitely Joker, when it came out, was a huge surprise as to the success of it as an R-rated film. So that one, I'm definitely curious about. Didn't love the first one from a, just me, myself, and my own tastes perspective, but I loved it for how much money it made for this industry.
I think that Joker sequel is going to be interesting to see if we get to see anything from it. I'm not sure that needs a big marketing push at CinemaCon.
Lady Gaga did it. I mean, hell.
Yeah, I think, and especially for coming in the second half of the year, I'm not sure how much we'll get to see of that. Furiosa, I am expecting and excited to see a lot from, because I think the Mad Max Fury Road performance, although good, I feel money was left on the table there.
Well, they didn't. I don't think they knew. I don't think anyone could have known.
No one knew. And I think now they know. So in terms of marketing pushes that CinemaCon can provide, I think Horizon absolutely needs it. Totally needs it. We have no idea what's going on there.
Yeah.
We need more information to market that. I think Furiosa could use it. I think it's the sort of thing that could benefit from a really good presentation that gets people talking.
I want to know what's going on with the DCU properties, both in terms of the James Gunn, rebooted universe situation, and then the Robert Pattinson, to use a very awful pun.
And is Robert Pattinson, is that whole thing, because I know there's a Batman sequel coming.
October 2025.
Is that part of the new DCEU? Is it DCU? Are they rebranding it? What the heck's going on there? I have no idea what's going on the comic book front for these guys.
I think we might find out at CinemaCon.
I agree. And I think that's the other big thing that I think exhibitors need from that Warner Brothers presentation. I think James Gunn needs to walk out on that stage
better
and give us a 15 to 20 minute update on these are the movies that Warner Brothers is going to bring to your theaters with the DC Comics banner in the next 5 to 7 years. We need an update on that. We know there's a Superman movie shooting out there. We know there's a lot of recastings going on. We need some sort of structure here. We know what exhibition can bring.
Yeah, we have some details and some speculation, but it's comic book nerd type speculation along the lines of, oh, this refers to this comic book run and this. I'm like, no. Exhibitors need to know what the heck it's going to do. What's coming into theaters? We don't care about which obscure characters are coming. We need to know what movies are coming, what we can expect from it, some marketing angles that can be explored. But that pretty much does it on the Warner Brothers front. I can tell you on my end, I think Furiosa is what I'm excited to see most. There's an animated Lord of the Rings movie coming up that we heard absolutely nothing on. And
do we have to hear it? I think that's one of those titles that I don't think we will hear anything on. Will we?
I hope we do. As a big fan of the Peter Jackson ones.
Do you watch that streaming series, Rebecca?
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the IP is in trouble after all these years. In that I don't think it's as bankable as it was.
After The Hobbit, they fumbled the bag.
Yeah, I think it's a concern, but I'm not sure how big of a concern. I don't think there is, let's say, a big production cost to an animated film on the Lord of the Rings front to make it a must market, right? Or something that you need to build buzz this early about.
That said,
I think there will be buzz built, just it might be a little early for that type of movie that costs that much. I think the heavy lifting has to be DC, whatever the DC Comics strategy is. The celebration is going to be the Dune 2 victory lap. The celebration is going to be, let's double up on that Beetlejuice mania that Chad is talking about. That's the way we're looking at Warner Brothers this year. A little bit of everything there. Let's move on here for a first time presenting to studio at CinemaCon 2024. And a reminder to everyone in Las Vegas listening to us and people on the way there listening to us before they get to Vegas. The cover of the CinemaCon 2024 edition of Box Office Pro magazine has Angel Studios on the cover. A huge thank you to Angel Studios for supporting us and our work here at Box Office Pro. Angel Studios opening up, Wednesday morning with an 8 a.m. presentation. I mean,
Angel Studios made a huge splash at last year's CinemaCon, not that we knew it at the time, with the breakfast presentation, introducing everyone to this little movie called Sound of Freedom. So speaking of victory laps, I think they're going to be taking one that morning as well.
It has to be. I think that might be 30 minutes of the presentation, victory lap. And here's what I expect, and I don't know this. We're actually going to learn a lot more when we interview Angel Studios executive Brandon Purdy in this CinemaCon podcast series. You can listen to our interview with him later on in the week. I believe we'll have that on the Thursday episode, Rebecca, our interview with Brandon. But before we get to that conversation, if I look at what Angel Studios has on their schedule, which isn't much already announced, and how they could fill up that hour, I would be shocked if we don't get an announcement of Sound of Freedom 2. I think there is a big sequel potential here. This is a film that has been spoken about a lot in terms of a culture war in the US and a political tinge that I think is neither here nor there. But overseas and globally, this movie was also a huge success. Sound of Freedom was. And the success of this film had 0% to do with whatever cultural or political conversation was happening in the US. It succeeded irrespective of all those elements internationally, all over Latin America, in many European markets. So it wasn't just a right movie at the right time in the US. It was a movie that worked by its own merits globally. So I do expect there to be something in the way of, is there going to be a sequel? How are you going to build on that success? And maybe fill out the schedule a little bit more. We'll be finding out more on Angel Studios' plans. As we said, later on this week, we'll be going over their presentation after it happens. And then I'll be speaking to their executive, Brandon Purdy, on the episode of this podcast coming out next Thursday. So that's coming up later on. Not much more to say here on the Angel Studio side because we don't have too much information beyond that. So let's move on to the next presentation here that we have on the schedule. We've got Lionsgate, another studio that's been active in the faith-based space. They've had some faith-based titles over the last couple of years, but they've also had a couple of franchise launching successes, experiments, a lot to say here on the Lionsgate side. Chad, I'm going to start with you again. Let's start in terms of buzz. What from Lionsgate is entering CinemaCon 2024 with the most buzz?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I think a lot of people are talking about The Crow, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I think that trailer went over really well. Everyone's looking forward to a big action based on a true story.
Of interest to me, looking at Lionsgate's upcoming slate, I think two of their biggest potential earners are ones that we've seen footage from at CinemaCon before. That being the John Wick spinoff Ballerina, which I believe we saw like a trailer or a little clip with Angelica Houston, and then of course White Bird: A Wonder Story, which they devoted a lot of their presentation to. Then pulled the movie from the schedule, then put the movie back on the schedule, which, considering it is part of the Wonderverse, that was a mid-budget movie with Jacob Tremblay that did so well. I don't know how are they just going to repeat verbatim what they last did on those two films. Borderlands coming out as well. I know that's a popular video game. It's not something that I'm particularly aware of myself, but I would say that would be my pick for the most buzzed about. Trailer has just come out. There seems to be good buzz on it. This could be one of those properties where Gen Z plays a really big effect.
If you had me guess, and mind you, we're recording this before we're in Vegas, so I might be very much corrected after we're there. If you had me guess, I would say that Lionsgate is going to be very forward-looking here. They've got a movie in production right now that's currently casting, Michael Jackson biopic, that we're getting casting notices on. Little by little, it's trickling. I would be surprised if they don't bring some of the cast on stage. I would be surprised if they don't start promoting it now. Because I think because there's been executive turnover there on the Lionsgate side of the conversation, I'm not sure how much they're going to promote the existing titles on this.
They're still building those relationships and reintroducing themselves.
Right. And a lot of them are veterans of the STX entertainment team. The STX team is now, there's a lot of that STX veteran leadership on the Lionsgate side. So I would be surprised if Crow, Borderlands, or Whitebird take a big part of the conversation. I'm sure we'll see a little bit of it. But again, at the same time, these are titles we've heard about 3 years ago. It'll be the third consecutive CinemaCon that we talk about a movie like Borderlands or like Whitebird in the future since. I think it's difficult to continue building hype around movies like that, especially if it came from a different era in leadership. I would guess, I would even wager, we're talking about Las Vegas, that Michael, this far into pre-production, is going to be part of that presentation in some way, shape, or form. I would also wager that after the success of John Wick Part 4 and after the announcement that John Wick director Chad Stahelski is going to continue developing and being involved in John Wick-related properties, that we don't hear a lot more on Ballerina and a potential further evolution of the John Wick series.
More spin-offs.
Is that another sequel? Exactly. Spin-off, streaming series starts. I don't know. But it would surprise me if a big focus isn't that. Also understanding how these Lionsgate presentations usually work is, unlike the other studios, they have to build these IPs. They have to work harder than all the other studios to build franchises. I think that's going to be a lot of franchise building on the John Wick side. Ballerina's probably going to get a big push as part of that, mostly because we saw them pull this off with the Hunger Games prequel from last year. Remember, it was a very similar situation. The Hunger Games had been out of theaters for a long time. Lionsgate came into CinemaCon promoting the concept, then promoting the reality. They put a lot of effort into it. We expressed uncertainty on how that would work out. We were wrong. They hit it out of the park. It was a huge success for Lionsgate, that Hunger Games prequel. So I do expect a similar approach here. Expect some franchise-facing announcements to happen, whether that's more Hunger Games, and I do expect to hear more from that, or on the John Wick side, or on any other side. I expect that on the Lionsgate side. And I would be very, very, very surprised if that Michael Jackson biopic doesn't get some sort of visibility. I don't think footage, but if you don't bring in part of that cast, I would feel it's a missed opportunity right now. Let's move on to further down the schedule. We've got Universal and Focus Features once again sharing the stage. They've got an advanced screening of The Fall Guy, which was a movie that got a lot of focus at the, no pun intended, at the CinemaCon 2023 presentation that ran long.
It ran super long.
It ran super long. I missed the end.
It was the best part of the presentation, and you just left. I'm excited.
I had to go to the bathroom, man. Come on. It ran. Vin Diesel walked up there. If you guys were there last year in Vegas, Vin Diesel went up there. He improvised. I had to meet deadline. But let's start with The Fall Guy. That's an advanced screening that I think is the right way to use an advanced screening at CinemaCon for a movie that isn't tied to an existing IP. You want exhibitors to get excited about it. A little bit too close to making a big part of their presentation based on The Fall Guy. They did that last year. I expect it to have some sort of visibility, but of course, we're watching the entire film before the presentation. So that's pretty much out there. Let's start with you, Chad, once again with the question we are kicking things off with. Universal, what is the buzziest title on their slate heading into that presentation?
It has to be Wicked Part 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and that has to be the core of that presentation, right?
Yeah. And I think they have, I think it applies to your other Christian too, in terms of having something to prove. I think maybe with Wicked, I don't know. The response to the trailer, I think, was mixed, to be generous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of people excited about it. I think in the niche that Chad and I belong in of theater nerds and musical geeks, I mean, you're a lot more plugged into that world than I am, Chad. What is the early expectation or early conversation going around with Wicked?
I think everyone in that core audience that you would expect to see this film is really excited about it. I mean, I personally think I didn't feel like there was going to be as much CGI as we ended up seeing in the trailer based on that featurette from last year. So that has me a little like, okay, how much CGI are we talking about? But no, I think everyone's very excited.
The past few years, Chad, as you've noted and written about, musicals at the box office are by no means a sure bet. I mean, things like Things
That
like
is
Mean
true.
Girls and Wonka
Yeah.
kind of are able to take advantage of long tail success. You have something like Warner Brothers' The Color Purple, for example. I'm gonna switch to Focus and also do a little plug again for the CinemaCon issue of Box Office with Angel Studios on the cover. One of the features in there is a state of the art house roundtable presentation with several executives from the overall art house community in North America and beyond. And I asked them, what are you excited about that is going to add a lot of energy to the art house market? And pretty much across the board, it was the bike riders from Jeff Nichols. They are, Focus is doing something of an unusual move in of releasing that film in the summer. Typically, obviously, award season, the later months of the year tend to be when a lot of these quote unquote art house films are released. This one instead coming out June 21st. I mean, you have Austin Butler, who is, I think, definitely a hot commodity now. Tom Hardy. I mean, written and directed by Jeff Nichols, whose past films I personally really enjoyed. And like Tom Hardy doing another funny accent. Come on. So yes, definitely not going to be the one on the upcoming slates of the combined Focus and Universal to make the most money. But I'm an art house theater fan. I'm an art house fan, so I'm going to say the Bike Riders.
That can really shine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bike Riders can really stand out. It can be the title that gets people talking about, that we might be surprised by. In terms of buzz, I agree that I think Wicked is coming in as the most buzzed about title. But I also agree with Rebecca. It's also the title that needs most marketing help because of something that you said, Chad. The audience that is going to see Wicked is already in the bag.
Right.
They're in. The audience that is going to pay money to see it is locked in. Whether they like it or not, they will see it. What Universal needs to do with Wicked is get everyone else in.
Because it's a two-part
adaptation.
Yeah.
It's a two-part adaptation. You can't get away with the core audience alone. You need to make sure you get a carryover that you don't anticipate there. So I do think it's not only the most buzz about title that Universal is coming in with, it's also the one that they really, really need to market. They need to focus. They need to kick butt with it. Now, in other titles that they've got, I think Despicable Me 4 is going to play an important role this year.
Oh, yeah.
I expect that to be a big part of the presentation. I think if you have footage ready, and I don't know if they do or not, but if you have footage of Twisters available, you have to show it at the Coliseum.
I mean, the trailer looked fun.
Yeah.
If you have like a good extended 15, 17 minutes of Twisters with some effects ready to go, and you put it in those like laser projectors and that wonderful screen, that great sound system you have that they set up at the Caesars Palace Coliseum, it's going to rock people's socks. Like, it's going to be fantastic. You need to take advantage of that opportunity.
Top Gun Maverick co-star Glenn Powell. He's turned into Mr. CinemaCon at this rate.
Yeah. And, he's in these big movies. I think there's a potential for Twisters, like with the Bike Riders, to come out and say, hey, I wasn't expecting to be so excited about Twisters. So I'm excited to see what Universal does there. Now, on a personal note, I'm not sure how much footage there's going to be. I think there's been maybe 2 production stills out there. Robert Eggers is coming out with Nosferatu. I'm someone that absolutely loves Murnau's silent version. I adore Werner Herzog's version that came in, 70s?
70s, yeah.
Also on the horror beat, I think falling into the category of films that we went into CinemaCon not knowing that it was going to be the hit that it was. Of course, that was Megan, Killer Robot movie. They pretty quickly announced a sequel from the same director. Makes sense. I am curious about that one because I think the first one, I mean, they got a lot of play out of that trailer and the dancing becoming a meme and all that. I don't know if they're going to have something comparable for this sequel. It seems kind of a lightning. You can never predict what's going to go viral, right? When you try, you're just going to be wrong.
That's a good shout, Rebecca, because the first Megan, and remind me when that was released. It was a January 22, 23 release.
January,
the prior CinemaCon that
they had the poster out.
They had a poster everywhere. We didn't see. I don't think we saw any footage, but the poster.
I remember
everywhere.
that. It really stuck.
Yeah. And that's a good example of Universal getting an A+ on marketing a title outside of the Coliseum, which is something that we also have to talk about in terms of CinemaCon. How do you market these movies outside of the presentation?
Mhm.
The standees,
The Barbie
some
box.
of the posters that are everywhere, the Barbie box, exactly. Megan was really well marketed outside of the Universal presentation. Are they going to do that with Megan 2.0? That's going to be a big question mark. Finally, I think that the last title on the focus side of this conversation is going to be Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse biopic. I saw a trailer for this one recently at the movies. I think it was for Drive Away Dolls. When it must have been another Focus release. I didn't know this movie was coming out. I was in a theater with maybe like 17 people, but those 17 people were most excited by watching Back to Black. That's like the one takeaway of that screening that I remember. So I do expect that maybe to have some buzz around it in a way that, let's go back to not that long ago. Was it last year that the Bob Marley One Love footage and trailer that we saw from Paramount, and I think made enough of an impression for us to think this is $100 million movie. We weren't that sure, but the footage was good enough from what we saw of Bob Marley One Love from that Paramount presentation to really up our forecasting and expectations for it. Let's see if Back to Black can pull it off this year. And that is a great segue for the next presentation here coming up Thursday morning, April 11th. We've got Paramount coming in a transitional year for the studio. Studio's been in a lot of headlines lately. Apparently it's up for sale. We don't know how that's going to play out, but what we can expect is head of distribution Chris Aronson is showing up in some ridiculous movie-inspired outfit. We have to take bets here. What is the themed costume that Chris Aronson is showing up on?
I don't care about what the most buzzed about title is. Like, what's Chris Aronson going to wear? I mean,
I'll say it right now.
Costume, right?
Gladiator. Has to be Gladiator.
Yeah.
Has to be Gladiator. No doubt. Absolutely. I think not only Gladiator, but you should get like a bunch of film bookers to show up and like just.
It's like
right
Roman
there.
legions.
It's the Colosseum. Why not? It's a great opportunity. Put them out there. Sacrifice 3 or 4 film bookers. If you go for a themed opening that Chris and his team are known for, great opportunity there. I'm just saying, you're free to consult with me. But, that's coming up from Paramount. All right, we got to go over the way we're tackling this is the most buzzed about title that Paramount has in a transition year. No Tom Cruise, some sequels, no huge IPs, maybe outside of Sonic. Quiet Place, maybe. What's the most buzzed about title that Paramount's got this year, Chad?
I mean, it's got to be that Gladiator sequel.
You think? I'd have to say Sonic 3, man. I think it's been too long.
Maybe.
It's been too long since the first Gladiator. I just don't know how that's going to play out. Sonic is a sure thing.
I mean, Ridley Scott, he's one of my favorite directors, but I think, in terms of theatrical performances, films can be hit or miss, if only because he makes so many of them. And thank goodness that he does.
There's a consistency in that. I think Gladiator 2, I will say, Gladiator 2 is the movie that needs the biggest marketing push.
I disagree.
That needs, you don't think so?
I think I'm going to put for that category, I'm going to say Transformers 1, the animated Transformers movie. We have seen nothing, and they need to revitalize that franchise, at least domestically.
Live action Transformers does have a franchise push. I think if you were to say that last year, I would say, yes, Transformers, I think it was Rise of the Beasts, the one that Stephen Caple Jr. directed. And it performed. It gave a bounce back to that live action franchise. Here, on a franchise building basis, I think the one coming in with most buzz, either Sonic 3, maybe Quiet Place Day 1. In either way, I think both those franchises need a little bit of a push. Quiet Place Day 1, maybe more than any other. Gladiator 2, I don't know how expensive it is. I don't know how much there was of a cost overrun by the strike that happened in the middle of production. I don't know how much pressure there is for that to meet a certain number. So I don't know how early you begin building that up or promoting that. It might be too early, right? So in that regard, maybe A Quiet Place Day 1, maybe If, which is a movie that we don't know too much about. That's the imaginary live movie. Action imaginary friend one, right?
The family friendly one, not the horror movie one that already came out. Completely different.
We've got that Smurfs movie set to come out Valentine's Day 2025. A big part of the presentation last year from Paramount was on this Smurfs reboot. Maybe that factors in. It's going to be a weird year because we don't really know who's going to be calling the direction or strategy of Paramount in 6 months or 1 year's time, or if there's going to be a change at all. There's just too much speculation out there. We can only go with the slate immediately in front of us. And I think in that slate, there's nothing here that's way too expensive that could be an issue. There's nothing really unproven. Gladiator might be the only big question mark in terms of it can go either way. I think Quiet Place A1 does have a pressure of setting up future installments in a franchise. And if, that's a wild card, right? That's another title that if they show 20 minutes of this movie and it's a good 20 minutes, that might be another one of those movies that people come out of CinemaCon 2024 saying, hey, I can't wait for this to come out. And that leads us into the final presentation at CinemaCon 2024. We are talking about Disney, which is going to be doing not as much of a heavy lifting as a very strong 20th Century Studios slate for this year, which is impressive. I'm surprised that we're going to be talking so much about the 20th Century Studios titles for Disney this year, maybe more so than what Disney has coming out. But it's a high-stakes year for Disney, guys, especially after the results in the last 2 years. A lot riding here. So let's start this in the way we have all day long. Chad, what is the title that is coming in with most buzz on the Disney side?
I think there's a lot of expectations around Inside Out too.
Yeah. On the Disney family side, yes. I think there's a lot of expectations there. It's a must-perform title in a way that nothing in that slot has performed for Pixar since 2020. I'd actually say it has to be Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, yeah.
Yes. I mean, on the macro side, I know it's not your classic Disney release. I think that's the point. I think if Pixar is feeling pressure, if Disney's feeling pressure, Marvel is especially feeling pressure, and Deadpool Wolverine is just kind of floating in there.
Dead of summer. I mean, that is they picked a date that says they're confident about it being a blockbuster. Hugh Jackman coming back, the first one grossing so well. I mean, I think in a few episodes ago, if you look ahead to the slate of 2024, Deadpool Wolverine has the potential to be one of the highest grossers of the year,
I think
which is weird to say about Disney and Marvel. And
it's going to be another 20th Century Studios performer for Disney, right? That had Avatar: Way of Water not that long ago. Yeah, I think it's going to be Deadpool Wolverine that is coming in with the most buzz in a way that we don't associate that sort of buzz with Disney, but it's going to be the only Marvel title this year, if I'm not mistaken. It has to perform in a way that, yes, Inside Out 2 also has to perform. In terms of what needs marketing help.
I mean, the Alien franchise is getting a new installment. The Planet of the Apes franchise getting a new installment.
I'd go for Apes. I'd say Apes over Alien. I think Alien,
we've already seen other directors. It's not, I mean, people... Yeah, I feel like that universe is kind of more scattered, more broad over the years. I mean, I guess definitely Planet of the Apes is as well, but like the fact that the modern incarnation of it is a contained trilogy. You know?
I think Apes is going to need a big marketing push from the Disney presentation this year. I think that's the one that could benefit the most. And listen, these movies have performed well enough to bring in additional sequels, even though people aren't clamoring for them, but not fantastically enough for Disney to basically say, let's make 18 streaming series with this IP, right? So it's kind of like a weird property just floating out there. If the quality is as high as the prior installments in this Apes reimagining, I feel good about this. I just don't know enough about this yet. And I think Disney has to sell me on Apes this year.
If you're curious, check out the print edition of Box Office on the media stands for an interview with two of the stars of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Wink, wink.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we'll have to read that interview from Rebecca Pauley in our issue. And Rebecca, you also mentioned Alien Romulus. I saw the teaser trailer that was recently released for that. I'm a big Alien fan. I've been scouring the internet to buy my 9-month-old daughter plush xenomorph. I can't find a good one. If anyone can point me to a licensed xenomorph that a baby can put in its crib, I would love to purchase it. Big fan of that franchise. I can't wait to watch Alien. Listen, I'll take Ripley over any Disney princess any day of the
hell
week.
yeah.
Same corporate family. Give me Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
Ripley won't be part of Alien Romulus as far as we know. But that is the one I'm most excited to see. Alien Romulus originally intended, if I'm not mistaken, as a straight to Hulu title.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God it's not. So I would love to see, as a fan, a little bit of that. On the Disney proper side, Moana 2, no one expected that to exist. We thought that was going to be a Disney Plus thing. Now it's not. How close to being completed is it? Are we going to see anything from it? I've got big questions there. And then huge questions, of course, on that Mufasa Lion King spinoff. I don't know if the CG animation's ready for us to see something on there. It might be too early to start selling that. So I would say Deadpool's ready to go. Let's celebrate that. Convince me on Apes. Convince me a little bit on Inside Out 2. We really need Pixar to come back to life here. Other than that, what, Snow White coming out next year? I don't know.
What I'm curious about is something that is not on the slate. Again, as the art house fan that I am, Searchlight Pictures, part of the acquisition of Fox, had Poor Things, which Daniel, we both love. I think they had success with. They are a company or a division of a company, I guess, that really relies on the festival scene, the festival landscape to acquire titles. Obviously, the festival landscape is something that was hit by the strikes. I want to see something coming from Searchlight. I don't know. I guess it'll depend on how the film festival scene is shaken out for them over the past few months.
Yeah, we traditionally don't see too much on the Searchlight side of things from that Disney presentation, unfortunately. But what we can offer you guys here on the podcast is an interview that Rebecca Pauley had with Searchlight Pictures executive Rebecca Keary, the head of international over at the specialty division of 20th Century Studios. That is going to be coming up on the Monday episode of this CinemaCon podcast series presented by Tapos by Jacro. Well, Chad, Rebecca, thank you so much for this first exercise in previewing what we can expect, what we're looking forward to, some of the pressures that some of these titles have in these studio presentations coming up all next week at CinemaCon. To hear our reactions to the footage and everything going on at CinemaCon 2024, do not forget to subscribe to this podcast. There will be new daily episodes uploaded every morning of the event, Monday to Friday, featuring reactions from us directly from Las Vegas. Once again, thank you to Rebecca and Chad for participating in the news segment of this week's episode. Now, going into our feature segment, we are going to be joined by Eduardo Acuña, the new Chief Executive Officer of Cineworld, the second largest exhibition circuit in the world. And also joining us for that conversation is Don Savant, the CEO of CJ4D Plex Americas, the premium large format provider that does the 4DX seating and the ScreenX seating. I met up with them in the newly renovated Times Square Regal location to discuss everything Cineworld and CJ4D Plex coming up right here after the break.
And we're back here on the Box Office podcast with our special guests for this CinemaCon edition. We have Eduardo Acuña, the CEO of Cineworld, parent company of Regal here in the United States. And we've also got the CEO of CJ4D Plex, Don Savant. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it's exciting to be chatting here. We are pre-recording this from the Regal Times Square location, Regal E-Walk, as it's been known for a number of years. We are in a brand new, newly remodeled 4DX auditorium, the largest 4DX auditorium in the world. Very exciting. I want to hear about everything, not only in this complex, but everything happening globally between your companies. But let's start with Eduardo. Eduardo, congratulations on the new role. We've spoken in the past when you were at Cinépolis for a long time. Still a multinational, slightly different markets this time. How have your first 6 months on the job been?
Oh, they've been such wonderful months. A dream job for me. Wonderful company to work for. I remember when I joined the industry almost 20 years ago in Latin America. I remember having Regal as the reference, right? It was the biggest company in the world, in the United States. And I always say, imagine one day, what would it feel like to work there? And lo and behold, I'm the CEO of that company now. So couldn't be prouder, happier. There's lots to do, but I'm very energized and excited to lead this company into the future.
And of course, a big part of Regal's comeback from the entire adventure that the corporate parent had over the last year has been going into your locations, making sure that they're competitive. Of course, we went through the adventure during the bankruptcy of renewing lease terms, lease agreements. But now we're solidly on the reopening, grand opening phase, new technology, new designs. Don, CJ4Dplex, a big part of that. You have a great partnership, not only with your 4DX technology, but also ScreenX technology, the panoramic screen with Cineworld. What does this connection mean for you guys as a company?
Well, for CJ4Dplex, it means everything. I mean, Cineworld and Regal has been our biggest partner and is our biggest partner. Without them, we couldn't have launched these premium formats. And this is kind of our crowning achievement by merging a PLF screen with a 60-foot widescreen, 4K laser projection, 7.1 immersive audio, and then 296 40X seats with 20 different special effects. So it just can't get more dynamic or more immersive.
And of course, you had a lot of experience, Eduardo, understanding the role of premium technology in cinemas through your work as an exhibitor, especially over the last 10 years. You've seen an explosion in popularity. You know what immersive seating means in markets all over Latin America. How does that strategy change in the markets that Cineworld is present in, or is it more of the same?
I would say it's different in a way that it's actually even better now. The markets, I mean, the US, Europe, the markets where Cineworld is and Regal, I can tell you that the 4DX screens are our most productive screens. There is a real appetite for customers in these markets to experience this premium format. And it's the most advanced technology we have to show theater, to show movies, right? It's I like to say that in 4DX, that's where you live the movie. You're inside of the movie. That's how you get immersed the most. And numbers show it. Numbers really, really show it. Again, sorry to repeat myself, but this is the most productive screens that we have in the company. And we wanted to make a big statement here in Times Square, New York. I mean, you're in an iconic city like New York, in an iconic place like Times Square, and we have a Regal right there that we were renovating. So why don't we do the biggest 4DX screen in the world?
And in terms of premium strategy, like many exhibitors out there, Cineworld is diversified. So you have here in the US, you have the RPX technology as well, your own in-house solution. What's been the footprint of that? What's been the expansion of balancing both third-party partners like CJ4Dplex and having your own in-house brand like RPX?
Well, I think they serve different purposes. You need to give customers an excuse to leave their houses. Home theaters have been getting better and better, but still there's nothing like going to movies. And if you go to a theater and watch a movie, again, it's we all know it, right? It's a communal experience. You laugh with others, you cry with others. You have the biggest possible screen. There's no way of copying such a big screen in your house, or even the sound. Now, still, you have to give them a further excuse, so more comfortable seats. We're actually going to go into big recliner conversion within our company, and that's something that we're looking forward to, and bringing the most technology that we can. RPX, as you mentioned, is our premium large format solution, and it's also intends to have the largest screens with the best sound, and it's just part of the whole offering we have for our customers, right? You have to put the customer at the center of everything. You have to offer the customer what the customer wants, and some customers will want a very large screen with a very nice sound. They'll go to RPX. Some customers will want to go to IMAX. They'll go to IMAX. Some customers will like the immersion and the movement of 4DX. Some people will like the immersion of ScreenX. We have those. And some people just want to sit comfortably, and we'll have recliners for those. So it's part of the portfolio of strategies of how you watch movies in the best possible way in a communal setting.
Now, it's a big part of you coming into this company, coming in and bringing that excitement back to Regal, bringing that excitement back to Cineworld. It's been a number of decades since this global circuit has seen a transition as large as this one. Yeah. Does it feel like a reset for the company? What's been the biggest challenge for you in your first 6 months?
Oh, completely. It's a full reset. And I'd say there's two big challenges, right? First of all is putting our customer at the center of everything. And the second one is focusing on our culture. Once you do those two, you put the customer at the center of everything, listen to our customer. What do you want? They want special formats. They want comfortable seats. They want recliners. They want excellent service. They want us to operate as perfect as we can. And then most importantly, every company is about their people. I think we have the best company. We have the best people, but we did need a culture reset. And that's been underway. And it has been a tremendous advancement in the past few months. And I couldn't be happier or prouder of what we have accomplished. But more importantly, we're setting up for the future. We're set up for a brand new Regal and Cineworld that's going to be once again the best company in the world.
And right now, what process of that reset are you in? Is it just making sure that the leases are up and running, getting to open or reopen new theaters? Or are you, I know it's early, I don't want to put pressure on you, are you already looking at expansion?
We're looking at everything. We're finalizing the definition of our strategy. And again, within our strategy, it's all about our customers and our culture. And within that strategy, there's definitely growth in there. There's remodeling in there. There's taking care of our sites. We have really, really, really good locations. And we first need to look at those, take care of those, update what needs to be updated. And of course, we'll definitely grow in the future.
I hear Latin America is a great market. If you know any experienced folks in the region, there might be some expansion opportunities there.
I don't want to go there and compete with those guys. They're pretty good.
I hear you know them as well.
We have enough in our hands with the US and Europe, and but who knows what the future holds.
Of course. And talking about new markets, partnerships, Don, obviously, CJ4D Plex works with a number of circuits worldwide. Here in North America, you've been working with folks like B&B Theaters, setting up your technology as well. What's been that experience in expanding that footprint of both 4DX and ScreenX here in the U.S. with other different circuits?
Yeah, so we B&B has been one of our oldest client, and they are rapidly expanding. And so we're the centerpiece of our ScreenX theater along with their Grand Theater and their PLF. And then we've just launched last year 6 theaters with Cinemark and planning to do more with them. And those locations have performed very well. And then we just opened near Marcus's headquarters in Milwaukee. So we're looking to expand. We just did a big deal with Canopolis in Europe. So we'll add 26 theaters in total. 7 of those theaters will be in the domestic market here, 4 in Canada, 3 in Michigan. So we're really excited about that expansion. Japan has been a really big market for us as well. We're expanding there. We have over 60 4DX theaters and about 20 ScreenX theaters, and the ScreenX is really starting to grow now as well.
What I'm hearing from both of you is that even though we hear a lot of headlines, we read a lot of headlines that 2024 is going to be a down year at the box office. Mm-hmm. We have Cineworld, the second largest circuit in the world, aggressively investing in its circuit. You see it from your perspective, Don, at CJ4D Plex, selling technology that, listen, it's not a simple turnkey. It's big technology and big returns on it. You're seeing that investment not only through Cineworld, through other global circuits. What's your takeaway for 2024 as we sort of have a hangover from the strikes of last year? What does the future hold beyond these first couple of tough months?
I think it's going to be, I'm a huge optimist in the industry. And I think the future is very, very bright. Something that I hate hearing is, we had the pandemic, now we had the strikes, and we need to get back. We need to fix our industry. I genuinely believe our industry doesn't need fixing. Our industry is just getting where it needs to be. We're getting more movies. And when we have movies, we perform amazingly. If you look at numbers, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 4 of the best 10 movies in history, of the highest grossing movies in history, were released after the pandemic. So when there's good content, people will come out. Yes, there was a hiccup with the actors and writers strike. We can look at it as something horrible, or we can look at it as an opportunity for us to get our operations back where they need to be, get our theaters back where they need to be, and then just be prepared for what I think is going to be a fantastic second semester of the year, wonderful 2025 and onwards. I again truly believe our industry doesn't need fixing. Our industry will get where it needs to be very, very soon.
Yeah, I think the first couple of months were always going to be the most difficult period. It's going to be a shaky first quarter. We're beyond that. Doing south, we have our feet under us. What are you guys looking forward to CinemaCon this year? Because you guys have been there with us. going to these events, especially after the pandemic, right? Especially in 2021, in the middle of August, where it felt like it was like 15 of us locked in Caesar's Palace, trying to find a reset for the industry. How are you looking at CinemaCon 2024? What are you looking forward to getting from this year's event?
Well, for me, it's my first CinemaCon at Regal, right? So it's going to be extra special. Of course, I've met with all of them, but I want to meet again with our studio partners. I've been so busy working within the company that I also want to, I can't wait just to see everybody, right? All the studios, all our vendors, our partners everywhere. So I'm excited about that. I think it's, for me, to some extent, it's like a new beginning. Mm-hmm. And this is the first CinemaCon where I do that. So very exciting. Looking forward to seeing everybody. I think I'm going to be very, very busy, very busy, full of meetings, but I can't wait. I'm also very energized and excited about it.
Don, on your end, what are you looking forward to this year's event?
Well, I love CinemaCon in the fact that we get so much press for the cinema industry, and it really creates a buzz. I think from CJ 40plex view, we're really excited to meet all of our clients, not only in America but internationally, to have them come out, and so it's something we're really excited about, and the time is just so productive when we're all together and able to talk about the challenges that we face, but more importantly, the opportunities, which are really expanding.
Now, when we talk about the global market, because you guys are both representing global companies, we also have to talk a little bit about Europe. CineEurope also coming up in June. I know you guys are going to have a big presence there.
CineEurope, for me, this is going to be extra special. We're the number one circuit in the UK, and we're the number one circuit in 8 markets in Europe other than the UK. And so we're a pretty important player there. So CineEurope is going to be, again, extra special. I feel that for the first time, I'm not going to be there as a visitor from Latin America, but actually as one of the key industry players. So also it's going to be really special, and also looking forward to it. It's just going to be different. You asked me difference between Europe and Latin America. It's very, very different. Mm-hmm. The UK, I would say, is more similar to the US. Developed markets, expensive tickets, expensive labor, expensive rents, and the economics in these two markets are very similar. Now, when we talk about Central and Eastern Europe, where we are the biggest player, it's very, very similar to Latin America.
That's interesting to hear, yeah, because at least from my perspective, obviously knowing the Latin American market, going to Europe, it seems from a distance, there's a lot of similarities there. Could you expand on that a little?
A lot of similarities. It's a growing market. The UK and the US are more mature markets, more stable markets, whereas Eastern and Central Europe, it's growth market. People love to go there and buy lots and lots of concessions, which is great for our business, as you know. Excited to see movies. And more importantly, they have a lot of local product that it often really works well. And more often than not, when it works well, it changes the outlook for the year. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Romania, last year, box office in Romania in 2023 was higher than 2019.
So we've already crossed that finish line in a number of these markets. That's fascinating.
We have a couple of markets where our performance was actually better than 2023. Not on box office, but in general, our EBITDA numbers were better. And in 2024, we're expecting huge things for Poland because of local products. So again, all goes back to content, and these markets have that benefit.
Now, a big part of what you guys do for a living is travel around the world and go to movie theaters. I have to ask this questions because it's one of my favorite things. When I drag my wife on vacation to go to a movie theater, it takes some convincing. But usually when I get to do it, my favorite thing to do is go to the concession stand and find a concessions product that I'm not familiar with, that's new to me, and saying this is specific. In Mexico, as we know, popcorn has to have hot sauce. And the hot dogs sell a lot more in Mexico, I feel, than in many other countries. Every country is different. Of course, you think of Brazil, sweet popcorn. Don, let's start with you. Everywhere you've gone to, and I'm sure Korea is its own category to itself, what have been your favorite concessions of the global movie theater sector?
So my favorite concession is the dried squid.
Dried squid. Korea. That's not on my bucket list yet, but now you have to sell it.
It's kind of like a beef jerky, and it's chewy and salty, and it's not bad.
Where have you found it? Where can I find dried squid?
At CJCGV.
Okay. All right. Next time I'm in South Korea, I'll actually, CGV Global Company.
I'll bring you some for CinemaCon.
I'm going to look for you in Vegas. And I expect to walk out with dried squid.
You will have it.
I'm looking forward to it. Eduardo, on your end, traveling the world, what's been your favorite new concession experience?
I'll tell you that the favorite is very close to my heart. It's all throughout Central Europe now, but it started in Czech Republic. We have a very, very good team there with for our retail, food and food services. And when I came into the company and talked about, let's do more, let's do nachos, let's do things that we don't do, this team just went out and hit it off the ballpark. And they brought in one new product that I have never thought of, which is nachos, but the tortilla is a jalapeno green tortilla.
That's different. That's new. Okay.
And I'm from Latin America, and I have never seen a jalapeno green tortilla until I went to Czech Republic, and my team implemented the jalapeno green tortilla, and I'm a nachos guy. So if you combine the jalapeno green tortilla with Rico's cheese, it's just been amazing.
It worked. Delicious, man. Like when you suggest where to eat to Mexican guys and you pick a Mexican place, you better be ready, right? Yeah. I think the benchmark's high. That can go wrong very quickly. But listen, they went to the CEO, and obviously it worked.
Oh my God. Best nachos in the world I've tried are in Central and Eastern Europe.
Central and Eastern Europe. I'll have to add that to my bucket list in Prague. That's interesting. Maybe we can combine the dried squid as a topping with the nachos. I don't know, cheesy, I think salty.
Yep, I think the cheese will work.
It'll be something. That's just a tip for our friends at Rico's, just an FYI. But of course, looking at the macro level of the industry, guys, we're coming out of the most challenging period of this industry. There were a lot of assumptions on what could have happened to cinemas. None of them panned out. Obviously, on Cineworld's side, you guys had a worst case scenario happen, but you're rebounding from it. And you're rebounding from it, not little by little, but you're rebounding from it in working with your technology partners, reopening theaters, reopening screens, renovating and redesigning. What are the steps that you think exhibition needs to take in the coming years to not only hit those 2019 numbers like we've seen in other countries, but to surpass that? Is that around the corner?
I think it's not going to take long. And the steps we have to take is we need to be better operators. All of us, we just need to look at our clients first and foremost and give them what they want, what they need. They want frictionless interactions. They want comfortable seats. They want the best image. They want the best sound. They want the best seats. We have to give that to our customers. And again, the two things I always tell my company, it's about the customer and it's about our culture. When you have a culture of real service, when you have a real culture of service, you'll come out on top. There's many markets where there is a lot of deferred maintenance throughout the past couple of years because of things that we all know, right? We were not able to invest during COVID and in our case during Chapter 11. So of course, there's a lot of taking care of our own buildings. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big focus that everybody should have. Let's just take care of our own buildings. We have great locations. The best real estate in most places already taken. So let's make sure that those buildings work great. And then we start thinking about expansion and growing opportunities. But I think first and foremost, it's just about service and the customer.
And that was Cineworld Chief Executive Officer Eduardo Acuña and CJ4D Americas CEO Don Savant joining us here on the special CinemaCon edition of the Box Office podcast brought to you by Jacro's Tapos. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you again bright and early Monday morning when we bring you the first episode that we record from Las Vegas. Thank you again for joining us, and we will talk to you again in a couple of days.